so glad to have you. This is Aldea Global TV, and this is Quique Posada. And they say the world belongs to the brave ones, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm starting, or at least trying to host this show in English. And I must confess, I feel a little nervous, but I have my good friend here who's keeping me in balance. She's always so peaceful. She's always so tranquil. She's always in the zen, in that zen balance that we all long to be in. And that's why we decided to do this in language, a language she speaks very well. That's why we feel comfortable to do this show with her. Welcome, Gaya Stepanian.
Hi,
Stepanian.
okay.
Love your last name and your story. You're half Armenian, half Mexican, born in the U.S.
Yes.
Something like that, right?
Yes.
Wonderful mixture. How are you, Gaya?
I'm good. I'm great. Excited to do this in English. You know, Kike, with every language that we speak, it's like a whole other aspect of our personality is exposed, right? And so I'm excited to be able to talk about something I love so much in that other aspect of myself, in that, you know, English speaker version of myself.
You are a wonderful fully bilingual person, but then also as a translator. You did a great job. Just a few days ago, we were attending a conference, and I couldn't believe how you kept up. I mean, it was so hard because those were long hours of conferences with both Marta Puig and Marta Adele from Mundo Pránico. They were here visiting from Spain, and you spent the whole week translating. How does that feel? Just having half of your brain on one language and the other on the other. I mean, how can you do it?
I think there were moments where, you know, I had one of those like brain fart moments where it's like, oh, yeah, I forgot to say that. But in general, it was good. It was great, because when you have to focus that much more, then the information becomes that much more important for you to be able to grasp it. And so I feel like I retained the information at a much deeper level, and that was important for me because I was worried about being distracted with the translation and missing the aspect of being also a participant. And so that wasn't the case. It was quite the reverse.
Tell us a little bit about that week in particular. It was so productive in so many ways. You represent basically Mundo Pránico here in South Florida. It's a great academy. It's been around for many years, teaching people how to heal with energy, with subtle energy. Tell for anyone who might be tuning in for the first time, what is Mundo Pránico and how you got involved with them?
Well, it was really synchronistic. I really wasn't expecting to. I wasn't fishing for this opportunity, but coincidentally, somebody asked me if I would be able to host Marta Puig. She was going to be coming to Miami, and there were students that were going to be arriving from other countries to learn from her. And so it was 10 days before the classes started, and I said, you know what? Yes, sure, absolutely. It seemed interesting. I didn't know the work that they were doing, even though they are world-renowned, and so, you know, bad on me, but at the same time, I was like a blank slate. And so when I started to hear and learn from Marta Puig, I was dumbfounded. My jaw dropped for the things that I not only heard, but also the things that I saw with my own two eyes. I mean, she performed a facelift without touching the face, with only the use of crystals and chakra energy, and it just tore down all the perspective that I had before of what we are capable of with just mere energy. And of course, crystals, specific types and stuff, but she has developed this technique along with her team at Mundo Pránico to really transform any aspect of the self by working on that etheric body that we all have that absorbs and impacts our physical, emotional, and mental body. Because how do we develop a wrinkle? We develop a wrinkle not because It's just appears. We develop it because maybe we frowned, or we did this too much, or we felt this way. And so every aspect that we transform in our body over time is tied to emotions and events and ways of thinking that really begin to take a physical form. And so when you heal that part on an emotional and mental and physical, etheric level, you can then transform the physical. And it was magic before my eyes. And I know that for anybody who hasn't experienced that or seen that, it must sound like hogwash. It's got to sound like, baloney. But I saw it, and those of us sitting in the room all saw it, and the person whose face had been really kind of taken down by time, it lifted, and she was radiant. And so, there were many people that day that lost weight. We're talking about 16, 17, 14 centimeters off their waist. And, the scale doesn't lie.
But, by the way, we're talking about basically a surgery happening in front of your very eyes without the intervening with your hands or instruments. It's just energetically, basically.
It is, and it does so much more than just transform your physical aspect. Because, for example, there was somebody that was trying to lose weight, and she not only lost weight in a day, but she also, something shifted in how she was relating to food. So the very next day, and for the subsequent days that she was, around me, her appetite had shifted. She wasn't eating all times of the day and eating any kind of food. Like, she really craved only lighter things, and things like salads and teas versus cheese and heavy meals and bread. And there was no coaching saying, oh, you got to eat this, or no, it was all working at a very internal level. And so it was pretty transformational. And the class on energetic protection, that also, I went into that class with a blank slate, thinking that, we're going to learn how to protect ourselves. But really, what we were learning was something so much more profound about how we perceive ourselves and in association with the rest of the world, and about healing that relationship that we have within and outside of ourselves. It was beautiful, unexpected.
So all in all, it was a profound and very, very, how do you say, enlightening, and also for introspection. I was only able to go to the weekend one, but it transformed me in so many ways. We were just showing some of those pictures of that day. We even danced. It was so many things were moved inside, and just to know that you can protect yourself. Every time you want, you can invoke all the forces of light, and be able to change the energy all around you all of a sudden. And you just did that when you got here. It's incredible. I think you took a step further during this last week, because I feel you're radiant.
Thank you, Kike.
Yes.
I learn and I grow every time I'm around those women, and their whole philosophy about how to work energetically with people. There's consistency throughout in terms of our integrity. Having integrity in every aspect of how we work with people is so important, from, how we are organized and how we manage our time, to the information that we deliver, to just working from that place of integrity in all aspects. It was very profound, very inspirational and transformational. Thank you. So
there's more ahead. There's going to be more presence of both Martas in South Florida. I know you are planning on doing more stuff next year, but for now the next stop is Mexico, right?
Yes.
In Puebla.
In fact, that's where my family is, so I'm super excited. My cousin, she's a doctor. She's going to be attending a series of classes that they're going to be hosting. They're going to teach the aesthetic energetics there, but they're also going to teach a 4-level course on pathologies and how to heal pathologies energetically. again, this is without having to use the knife, without surgery, without medication, but just from an energetic place. How do we heal pathologies, understanding how to work on them from the emotional, mental, etheric, and physical levels? And so I'm signing up for that. I'm heading to Mexico, to Puebla, Cholula actually, which is the capital of the state of Puebla. Puebla being the fourth largest city in Mexico, which is about 4 times the size of Miami. So it's a huge place, full of culture and full of history. So I'm excited to see my family, and I'm delighted to be able to be learning from Marta Puch and Marta Adel again.
Just checking in the live, making sure we are on the air. So yes, we are indeed. We are live now with Gaya Stepanian. She's a therapist in different different, I would say, applications, because you're an expert. You're certified biomagnetism. I cannot. It's hard for me to pronounce. You also are master Reiki. You work with subtle energies in general. Anyone with any condition, being something very chronic, any I don't know, allergy, anything you can think of that is really bothering you right now can be treated with magnets.
Yes.
With Reiki. There's nothing you cannot actually use with your therapies. It's going to be solved. I know, because I've been treated by Gaya so many times, and she's incredible. Her hands are magical. So let's talk about the skin. One would think that wrinkles are only a natural consequence of time. In many ways they are, but are you saying that they could be reduced in a way? Can they be treated? Can they even be avoided? Is this something possible?
Yes. Yes, actually there's a lot of science behind very specific wrinkles that we have in our face and how they're tied to specific organs. And so when you heal that organ, or if you maintain that organ or gland healthy, then you can avoid having issues in that part of your face. Now that's just the face, of course, then we have the rest of the body. And so a couple of the organs and glands that are key in terms of being able to have healthy skin begin in our kidneys and also our liver. I find that those 2 organs are some of the most important, and of course our skin is another organ, but it's tied to our lungs, it's tied to our liver, it's tied to our kidneys. And so we simply do not hydrate in the right way. And I know I've said this in our Spanish-speaking shows before, but I'd like to say it for our English speakers and listeners. Most of the people that I see drink water. And therefore, based on theory, they should be pretty healthy because they're constantly drinking water. And yet, if we understand what goes in our water, then we can understand why people are so sick. The water is filled with chlorine and fluoride and arsenic and chromium and a whole bunch of other toxic junk that, even though it's drinkable, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's hydrating us or cleansing us. And so we can use just very simple techniques to be able to clean our water. One, you can use a therapeutic magnet and alkaline your water and detoxify it. You can also add some yellow lemon, and therefore you will not just make it alkaline and detoxify it, but you will also mineralize your water. And we need minerals. We're not getting enough minerals anymore in our diet. And so I highly recommend that as you continue to drink water, simply use some of these steps, maybe some baking soda or some lemon, or use a therapeutic magnet to clean up your water. That's key in terms of also our skin, because a vast majority of our body is water, and yet the kind of water that we want, or the kind of water that we need, versus the kind of water that we're most exposed to. So that's just very basic, easy homework for everybody to do. But then if we, yes, Kike.
Well, Okay, to avoid the dryness in the skin, of course, water. We need to humidify, but what you're saying is that water is not enough. The way it is, the way you find it.
No.
So you gotta add some elements to it.
Add
Minerals, basically.
Minerals, like lemon, because lemon can help clean out our liver. So the liver is a filter, and over time it gets congested. Every time we get mad, every time we resent somebody, every time we get hurt, it gets congested with the grease in our food, the pesticides in our food, all the fake ingredients in the food, medications, alcohol, and that filter gets clogged. And over time, by the time we hit 30, people say, oh, my metabolism slowed down and this and that. But that liver, when it gets clogged, it can affect our skin because now it's intoxicated. And so a lot of skin-related issues are tied to a liver that's congested or tied to our kidneys that are also dried up because we're not hydrating the way we need to.
Lawrence.
Oops. Yeah, you can tell we're live. So this, basically, if people contact you, they can learn about how to treat their skin, have a couple of sessions where you will find what's missing, what's out of balance, basically, in the body. And not just the skin, but you do, how do you say, when you track the person, how do you call that?
Through kinesiology?
Yeah, well, that's one of them. But you can feel the whole body with your hands, basically, what the organs and the energies, the chakras, with your therapy. How is a typical therapy with Gaya? Describe us.
A typical therapy. So when we're talking about the tools that I use, biomagnetism is one that I revert to from the get-go, because when we enter in this dialogue with the body, and usually it's through the feet, but it could be without even touching somebody, right? And when Kike says my hands, I typically don't touch more than just the feet, right? But we're able to capture, the body can give us signals. The body responds and reacts in an involuntary way that we can capture where there are germs, where there are toxins, where there are dysfunctions, where there's weaknesses. And so in that conversation that I have with the body, then I'm able to identify what's going on, and do we have parasites that are affecting the skin or other aspects of the body. Biomagnetism is a science. It's a wonderful science, although it's an alternative method, not widely known in the US, but definitely very popular in Latin America and in Europe, and gaining ground here slowly but surely.
Why do you think it's that?
Well, it was born out of Mexico, right? It was born in Mexico through this doctor, Dr. Gaya Stepanian, and he was first accepted in Ecuador with this method, and eventually Mexico accepted his method, and now it's taught in universities and in hospitals. The health department supports it. The health department in various Latin American countries also support it, and in Europe as well. And so it's just a matter of becoming known here. I don't think that a lot of professors who teach it in English. And so that's part of the field that we have and challenge that we have as we are become more expert in this field, is to be able to really deliver this information in English to our English speakers. And so it's my hope to do that very soon. I'll be rolling something out for our English speakers soon in the next few months.
We have pictures of Dr. Isaac Gois right now on the screen. So you say that there's little material being translated into English?
Yeah, there's not a lot of information in English, and there are not a lot of instructors who are English speakers. So I think that's part of the challenge that we have in this country with biomagnetism right now. Mm-hmm. But we'll get there.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about the skin conditions. So we were talking also about rashes. This is very common, especially white-skinned people. You see a lot of that.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people that I see with either psoriasis or they have rashes or acne. We see that in adults and in, you know, teenagers. And so typically if you go see a dermatologist, most of the time you'll get something topical to treat that. And unfortunately, not a lot of times does it work. I used to have rosacea and I used to get creams and they never worked at all. The reason for the rosacea, it wasn't a topical cause. You know, there are glands and there are organs that were intoxicated with germs that really needed to be removed. And when you work on that with magnets, what they do is they change your biochemistry. And when you have that neutral pH level, then you're able to heal an organ, heal a gland, get a gland back to its perfect functioning. So I've seen a lot of people with thyroid issues and a few sessions and their thyroid is perfect. But the same thing happens with skin. There are a lot of parasites that can cause skin conditions. I remember a friend of mine calling me, she was out of state, and she said, oh my God, you know, she was pregnant, and so she was afraid of taking anything that the doctor might have prescribed because she didn't want it to affect the baby. And I remember telling her, you know what, I think it's a parasite, why don't you try some clove tea, which was, you know, the recommendation for what she had described. And sure enough, she took her clove tea and the rash went away in a day or two, and as we say in Spanish, santo remedio, which means, you know, end of story.
Holy remedy.
Yeah, there you go, right.
Yes, we usually use a lot of religious expressions, no, in everything we say. So this is magical. This is holy, definitely. Being able to perceive what's the imbalances of the organs, because usually our skin shows whatever is not basically healthy inside our body. So you say rashes are associated with?
They could be parasites. There can be viruses. For example, we all get inoculated for the chickenpox virus, right?
Yeah.
And yet, on the surface, that virus causes bumps. Internally, it can cause those too. And so, you know, there are different types of things that I don't think in traditional medicine we view it that way, and yet we find it in the body when these conditions occur, and I've seen them associated with things like the chickenpox. I've seen it associated with some bacteria as well. You have some streptococcus that are associated with the skin that can also cause skin-related issues and rashes or dryness or psoriasis. There are things that we can find here in the backside of our brain as well, in the bladder as well, that cause skin-related issues. And yet we expect a cream to resolve the issue. It's very, very hard. I don't see how that's possible.
When people say acne is also associated with emotions, especially amongst teenagers, can you say that by applying the magnets and the subtle energies therapies you use, you can also bring balance to those emotions? So it's not just the organ, but also all these electromagnetic field that is out of tune, I would say, with the emotions, no?
Kike, that's exactly right. Why? Because every physical manifestation in our body is tied to an emotion or a way of thinking, or both. And so oftentimes skin-related issues are tied to something that we're trying to cover or conceal or be protected from. And so, you know, if something has happened in that person's life where they felt they didn't want to be seen, or they wanted to be protected, or they felt their space was invaded, then usually that shield is created in the body to protect us. And so unconsciously we don't...
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm even looking at a baby with acne. That's incredible. Even babies.
Even babies. I mean, babies take on a lot of the emotions of their mother, especially that we see that manifested within the first 7 years of life. And so how was that mom feeling? What was she experiencing during her pregnancy that the baby is now born with that kind of rash? That would be a question that I would have.
And not just our offspring, but our pets.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
We were just talking about our pet here. She's limping. So you say something that you can treat the pet through me.
Yes.
Wow.
It's the easiest way. It's harder to have. And yet, I have a friend, I mean, she puts the magnets on her pets and they stay there for 45 minutes. Would never do it, but, you know, it's very easy and it's very effective to be able to treat a pet through its owner because everything is intention. They say, you know, intention travels 3 times faster than the speed of light. Intention is what says, you know what, I'm going to become a doctor, and so that person becomes a doctor because that was how they set their intentions and they work towards it. So in intention, you can also use that as a therapeutic modality because if your intention is for your dog to get better and you focus on your dog, then I can treat your dog while you're intending that to work for him or for her. And it works. It works. I've worked on a pony who had seizures and within minutes the seizures ended. I've worked on dogs that had skin-related issues and their coat became completely normal and healthy and brilliant, and yet they had been treated by conventional means and they weren't getting anywhere, unfortunately. So yeah, when traditional medicine doesn't fit the bill or isn't able to get us to where we need to go, you know, these alternative methods are definitely an opportunity for us to be able to help and speed up the process. And in that way, we also are looking at it from a very holistic place because we're not just looking at what's going on physically with the body, but we're able to address the emotional and mental as well, and that gets rid of things permanently.
We're looking at your website right now, Find Your Zen in Life, and there's even some testimonials you can see here on the right side. Had a biomagnetic session, started feeling better almost immediately. Loved her relentlessness to get to the bottom of what was going on with me. Thank you. Highly recommend. Angela from Miami. We have, my family and I have found wellness and healing using biomagnetism. Find Your Zen provides a natural alternative for all of us who want a change in our health that feels holistic. Excellent support. Vivian in South Miami. From Los Angeles, Ines. Biomagnetism has changed my life. Goodbye arthritic pain. That was only the beginning. You have to experience it to believe it. Amazing testimonies, Gaya. And you also work from a distance. You
Yes.
can work from a distance.
Yes, that's one of the beauties of this alternative work is that, again, through intention, you can work on anybody, anywhere, and on anyone, whether it be a 4-legged animal or a 2-legged animal, or I worked on my chickens.
That's right. You have almost a farm in the middle of South Miami.
Yes.
Because they feel, I bet they love just the energy that you bring to the house, and you must have 1 or 2 secrets to keep your house in balance, huh?
Oh, you know what? I think my chickens are the ones that bring the good energy. You know, every time I see them, I just get happy, and every time people see them, they get happy. So they fill that house with happiness because they're so, you know, adorable.
Okay, so let's do a little recap. Yes, skin conditions can also be treated with magnets, with subtle energies, with Reiki. You want to contact Gaya, because she will use all of her knowledge to bring that much needed health and balance to you. You can treat anything, basically.
Anything.
About anything.
Anything. Yes, anything, Kike.
And not just the physical, because like we said, we have learned that the physical is the last frontier where everything is expressed, it's manifested, but things start way before.
The emotional. They do. They start in an emotional place, and they, over time, really start to take toll on our physical body. But my goal is to work on the person from all those aspects, so that whatever is going on doesn't come back. So that if there's depression, or if there are panic attacks, or if there is anxiety or insomnia, or even low libido, whatever the case may be, that person feels fulfilled, is happy, is thriving, feels complete, is able to, oftentimes I see folks that come because they want to deal with something physical, and they walk away feeling emotionally so much better. And not just that, I've seen people's lives take a turn where they are able to then address the things that were obstacles before for them. And so it really is a transformational type of modality, or combination of modalities, because the goal is that we live a fulfilled life. And when we get sick, or when we have some physical condition, that's the body saying, hey, it's time to fix this, but not fix the physical. Fix whatever the source of that problem is. When you get to that root, it's like you shift a layer off of you, and you just, you're ready to go the next level in your life. And I've had the blessing of being able to see some of those wonderful, I guess from a religious place you would call miracles, but really, they're short of miraculous, because they're unexpected transformations. It's beautiful.
You also love to bring education to the people. Like we said at the beginning, you produce events like the one we just had last week with Mundo Pránico in Miami. But you're also into bringing knowledge in any way you can to different group ages. Like you want to bring a little of your knowledge of social media to the people, to Hispanics. And you're planning on giving out a course, no, on social media.
Well, this Saturday, it was kind of by request. Several folks were asking, because maybe they're not experienced yet with social media, and so they're in this field, or want to be in this field of holistic wellness, or simply lack that background in technology. And so really it's kind of like a basic course for people to be able to create their social media presence and be able to learn marketing techniques. So it's for beginners, but I'm excited because I think that if there's messages that people want to share, or if there's education or training that they want to share with others, then everything occurs through social media now. So much of how we communicate happens that way, and it happens within seconds, and there's so much at our fingertips. And so it's important to be able to bridge that generational gap so that we're all integrated and we can all communicate the same language.
You've come a long way since the days you used to work as a social worker, no? You were involved in the community.
I've worked in nonprofit work for 25 plus years. The last position I held, I was running a statewide organization, and this is a huge shift from that, from meetings and flights to Washington and things like going to Tallahassee and talking to congressmen and politicians and representatives, to being able to see the transformation in individual lives. And it's so fulfilling to me. To know that in some meaningful way, something I may have shared or done made an impact on another person. To be able to see that happen. When you're in a position where you're managing something, you're kind of away. You see things happening, but from a different scale. And so this, to me, is how I feel fulfilled. It's that contact that I can have with people and see the results directly, and it's just beautiful. It's wonderful. It's why I think I'm here.
And that's why we're so glad that you're here, giving this gift of hope, first of all, but then this the good you bring, the health. You help people find the health inside themselves, and that's the most important. So Gaya, again, thank you for coming. It wasn't that bad this first time in English. We plan on doing it every one another. Like we will do one English and one Spanish, basically, so people can start learning more about what you do. I know you have a huge, I would say, market. You have a lot of clients in the Anglo side. They will be glad to know that you are also doing this in English. So we've given out all your contact info. Basically, find your Zen in live. That's where you'll find everything.
Yes.
No? And in Facebook, under the same, find your Zen in live. And on Instagram, it's different. It's the Magnet Lady.
Yes, with 2 Y's. That was given
That was
to me.
allowed
That
to
was
you-
given to me by my English-speaking clients. Yes, they kept saying, "Oh, the Magnet Lady. You go see the Magnet Lady."
You gotta call the Magnet Lady.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Either way, you're wonderful. So for all our Hispanic friends, gracias por la paciencia. La próxima semana será en español y por ahora, pues vamos despidiendo. Gaya Stepanian, half Mexican, half Armenian, born in the USA, eclectic, diverse, and beautiful, inside and out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here in Aldea
Thank you
Global.
for having me.
This is Quique Posada, signing off. Until the next one. Have a great afternoon, Wednesday afternoon. Happy Halloween, everybody. Be safe. And don't eat too much candy, right?
Right.
That will bring out a little imbalance.
Well, drink some lemon water after you have your
Exactly.
candy.
Especially for the pancreas.
Right.
Okay. See you soon. Bye-bye.